I should be live. I'm just gonna wait a little bit to see. Okay, yeah. So I think I'm live. Okay. Hi everyone. So I'm going to be, thanks everyone for commenting. I'm so excited too. How's everyone? I'm good. How are you? Okay, so I am going to share my screen, and today I am going to be doing a how to self-publish presentation, going from the first draft to having your book in your hands. My book, Not the Air, released this Tuesday, December 1st, and it's available on Amazon plus most other online retailers, so you can go grab a copy. And yeah, let's just go get into it. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. So this is the complete self-publishing guide, and I'm Hudson Worm. This is kind of like a table of contents, what we're going to be talking about. So first, I'm just going to give a little overview and explain kind of all the steps at once, and then we're going to kind of break it down in chronological order, starting at the beginning, middle, and then finally getting those finishing touches, like sending it into the Library of Congress, marketing, sending ARCs, copyright, pre-orders, all of that stuff. So first, we're going to start with a little interactive exercise, and I want you guys to tell me, what do you think is the most important step? And while you guys are thinking and typing in the chat, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am. So my name's Hudson Worm. You can find my Instagram, Hudson Worm Books, or my website, hudsonworm.com. They're both linked in the description down below if you want to check those out, where you can find out more about me and my book, and there will be links to where you can get my book, if you're curious, and the blurb of my book, to see if it's something you're interested in. So yeah. Now, what do you guys think is the most important step? So let me just look at the pop-out chat. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and share what I think. So I've chose two things, cover design and editing, because in my opinion, those are two things that are just really important not to skip, and we're going to go back to that when we get into like the middle steps. And that is because editing, when you can self-edit your manuscript, and you should self-edit your manuscript a lot, but there comes a point where you've edited it enough and you're just too close to your project, and you need a professional to look at it and give their professional experienced opinion. And they will just, even if you don't have a lot of big glaring issues, or if you think you don't, they'll find things that you didn't notice you had. And the second thing is cover design, because even though people say don't judge a book by its cover, everyone judges books by their covers, and we all know it's true. Your cover is your best marketing tool, and that hooking cover will show the reader that your book is professional. If they see a kind of dull, not really engaging cover, they're going to think automatically that your book is dull and not engaging, just like the cover is. And if you have a really engaging, gripping cover, people are going to think your book is professional, it might engage them, and it might be something they'll enjoy. So they'll be more likely and more inclined to pick it up off the bookshelf or tap on it on an online retailer. Okay, so now we're going to get into the overview. And by the way, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, you can just drop them into the chat, and I'll be periodically checking there and pulling them up on screen. And also, we'll have some time at the end if you want to ask questions. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is, this is assuming your first draft is finished, of course, self-edits. So everyone has different processes for self-edits. We're going to get into different ways and different types of you can do for your self-edits. Then you might want to enlist a critique partner or beta readers, finalize a title and a tagline, compile a list of professionals, which I've actually done for you. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to be providing access to a secret page on my website that gives you a list of resources and professionals for formatting, book cover design, editing, and it's a bunch of research that I've done kind of compiled into a comprehensive list. So that's kind of the beginning steps. Then we have write a blurb, write an author bio, then you're going to be hiring these people, the editor, cover designer, and formatter, and going back and forth with them. And then we have the finishing touches, which is buy and register ISBNs, make accounts or on KDP and or Ingram or other distributors. But those are the ones I used. And then hire or be the proofreader, which we'll get into. And then you're going to want to market Instagram or other social medias, ARC readers, website, pre-orders, all that. Send to Library of Congress and file for copyright. All right, so let's now get into the beginning steps. Okay, and these are just some fun things that I found online. So this is an Ernest Hemingway quote, and some embrace the mess and beta readers. Your first draft isn't going to be perfect, and obviously that's what all the editing is for, so don't be discouraged if it's not, because it probably won't be. So we're going to first get into self-editing. And the thing about this presentation is, since it's covering so many things, it's hard to really get into the nitty-gritty. So I'm going to kind of give a glimpse into each thing and try to provide as much information as I can about it in an hour, because this goes until noon. All right, so for self-edits, these are just 3 types of edits that I like to use. So first are the developmental passes. So I like to print out my manuscript because it's nice to see it in a different form and maybe annotate and take notes. Don't make changes right away, because you might find in the beginning you think something really needs to change, but then you realize, oh, actually it ties together nicely with something in the ending. In this step, you're just really looking for character development, plot, story structure, timeline, all those things. And then I have the rewrites and deletes, so you can kind of incorporate the notes that you took from your first developmental pass, and then you can think about each scene. Does it advance the story? If it's kind of filler and it's boring to you, it'll definitely be boring to the reader. So you're going to want to eliminate filler, and if something's missing, maybe add those scenes. Is a relationship developing too fast? You might need to kind of let it build it up more. And then we have line and copy edits. So this is eliminate excessive repetition, show don't tell, eliminate filter words. This is kind of more of a prose level type steps. And then I like to use a text-to-speech browser extension. You can download it on Mozilla or Chrome. It reads you aloud in your manuscript, and you'll be amazed and surprised to see how many errors you will catch when it's being said aloud. And then, of course, find typos, which don't stress too much about this at this stage, because you're going to have a copy editor, a line editor, or copy/line editor, and a proofreader. So don't worry too much about it at that stage. But those are just things you're going to want to think about. Okay, so the next thing in the beginning steps is the title and tagline, and this doesn't need to be finalized just now. Everyone's process is different, so don't think that it needs to be you do this right at this moment in the timeline. This is just kind of how it worked for me, and I'm not an expert, but I did just publish my book, so I kind of have learned a lot in the process, and I'm trying to bring it all together for you guys today. So the title might come very easily, and it might be very difficult. You might already have it, or you might be working with a working title right now, so you might be calling it project and then its initials, or like project and its genre. To make your title, what I like to do is just make a list of key terms, verbs, nouns, just adjectives, everything, maybe character names, places, settings, if it's like a historical fantasy, like some things about the time period or historical fiction. And then look at your favorite books and your favorite titles, and how are they constructed, because there's common title archetypes like blank of blank and blank. And if you like titles like that, maybe you're going to want to put your key terms together in a way that goes with that title construction. All right, and then you have your tagline. So your tagline is not required. I have a tagline. It is envy, a strong weapon, a stronger curse. So it doesn't need to be something that covers everything in your story, but you want it to be something that engages your reader and makes them think, ooh, like that's kind of interesting. And this will be displayed on your front and or back cover. All right, so that's the title and tagline. Now let's go on to beta readers. So this is when you're going to have people that you trust, and the amount can vary. It could be like 2 people, or it could be like a whole team of 50. 50 might be a lot to handle, but whatever works for you. You might want like a bigger sample size so that you have more opinions, but they'll offer you constructive criticism from a reader's perspective. And this is really important because you will have an editor and they'll give you a professional's perspective, but you also want people, your target audience, reading it and thinking and giving you constructive criticism to make it a better story that they'll enjoy. And there's multiple processes that you can use with your beta reader. So I'm giving you guys 4 right here. And I know there was just a beta reading presentation. So if you want to learn more about beta reading, then feel free to watch the presentation. It's linked in the workshops down below, so you can watch that after. So here are just 4 different processes that I've heard of. One, you can use Google Docs to share your manuscript, and then your beta readers can kind of highlight things and leave comments in the margins, which I've heard is really helpful. Or you can send a Word document and then have your beta readers leave comments in the margins. Or you can send, you can give them printed copies. This might not work as well if you're kind of doing a long distance beta reading, but they can mark it up because that might be really helpful to have like a physical copy or a print copy. And then you can also send them any type of document. You can put it into an EPUB or Mobi or Word, and have them fill out a Google form for each chapter or section. And you can just make the same Google form for each section and say favorite parts, parts that were boring, like what scenes did you like, what scenes did you not like, did the characters like act like themselves, did they develop, those types of things. And then you can have like an extra one at the end, and they can just like tell you all of their comments. So what I did with beta reading was I just had a few beta readers from my family that I made it into an EPUB document and sent it. In the future, though, I am looking to kind of like have I might be looking to use one of these ways. All right, so the next part is the middle steps. So you got over the beginning hurdles of really making your manuscript the best it can be on your own, and now it's time to hand it over to professionals. So this is a quote that I really like that I think represents the step. Look how far you've come and then keep going. You've done the hardest part. Writing and doing the self-edits, in my opinion at least, are the hardest parts. Now you kind of get the fun stuff. You get to actually watch your manuscript become a real-life book. All right. So one thing that will be good for this step is having a blurb or a synopsis and an author bio. So these don't need to be final, and the author bio isn't required or urgent, but I just like to put these in here because I do think they're important. So your blurb you're going to want to send to editors, to cover designers. This will get people hyped. Maybe you want to post it on Instagram or other social medias and just get people excited about your book. This also might help you identify if you need to make more developmental changes, because you can really see a lot in a blurb. You can see, does the main character have a desire? Do they have conflicts? Do they have stakes? If they don't get what they want. And those are 3 really important things to have in your book. Then we have the author bio, which will probably be shown at the end or on the back cover of your book. This also might be required for certain, if you are looking for professionals on a marketplace like Readsy Marketplace, which is a great one, by the way, for editors, which will be in the resource list. This will be good to have, just so you can kind of send it to people. Okay, now we get to editors, which is a big step, and this might be really stressful for you. It might be hard to, you might be reluctant to give your whole book over to an editor and give it to someone else that's not you, but trust me, it will be worth it. So there's 3/4 different types of editors that I'm going to be running through today. And so on the bottom I said, do you need all 3? And I would say no, but if you do go with 3, you want developmental, and then copy/line, and then proofreading. So I just had a copy or line editor, which I think is the most important, because that will take your book from kind of just a manuscript to a really professional book. Okay, so let's start with developmental. You'll kind of know if you need them, because if you feel like when you're reading your book, you just can't there's something that's missing, but you don't know what it is. And it's something with the big picture, not the prose level stuff, but the big picture. This is when you're going to want a developmental editor. This is things about your story structure, about pacing, relationships, inconsistencies, like big, large-scale inconsistencies, timeline, plot holes, characters, big picture issues. This is a lot to worry about. So if you feel like one of these things or a few of these things, you can't figure out how to make them perfect, you might want to hand it over to a developmental editor. All right, then you have copy or line editors. So this, like I said, this is the most important in my opinion. They'll really go over stuff like grammar, repetitive word usage, filtering, which is kind of when you say, if it's in first person, I see, or I saw, I feel, I hear. And you might be like, duh, you won't say that, but when you're reading over your manuscript, you might have like said it a lot of times and you don't even realize. Show, don't tell. Better language, catching typos, which again, this is more of a proofreading thing, but if they find a typo, they'll of course correct it, and sentence structure. You might have a lot of sentences that are constructed the same exact way, which is a problem that I had, and my editor pointed that out for me, and I think it really helped make my story and my prose richer. And then you have the proofreading, which not yet. This is kind of after you have formatting, cover design, but while we're talking about editors, I wanted to include it just because it is an editor. So they'll catch typos and catch formatting mistakes. And they might catch inconsistencies, not large scale, like smaller inconsistencies. And there's other things that are blurb edits and manuscript assessments. There's a few other things that don't really fit under the umbrella of developmental, copy, line, and proofreading, but might still be worthwhile for you. So I actually had a blurb edit by Enchanting Publishing, and I thought it was super helpful because your blurb, I think like your blurb is right after your cover design. It's your second most important marketing tool. So if you have a great blurb, it'll really hook your reader in and make them more inclined to read your book. And blurb edits are usually not very expensive, so I do think it's worthwhile. Okay, so that's editors. Now let's go on. I'm just going to check the comments really quick. So where was I? Good morning to you too, Haley. Hi, Sasha. Sorry for jumping in. Oh, it's fine. But a secret page sounds awesome. Yeah, thank you. So I will be giving that away at the end, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Even this overview is a nice step-by-step. Thank you. Is the list available? I can't write it. Okay, so actually, at the end of the presentation, that is a good point. So at the end of the presentation, I'll go back to that slide and you guys can screenshot it if you want, because I haven't made a list of that. And my list of professionals, it kind of shows like the different steps. Okay. Hi, Pam. Okay. Keelan says, I struggle with my sentences all following the same structure too. Yeah, I feel like that's a problem that a lot of people don't regularly think about, but it is a big thing. I am still struggling with grammar and spelling. Yeah, so that's that's like what a copy or line editor will fix. So I think copy and line editors are so helpful. All right, let's go on to the next slide. So we're going to go on to cover design now. So which one would you click on if you're on online, retailer, or pick up off the bookshelf if you're at a bookstore? All right. Hi, Murray Games. Okay, so I would say that I would pick up the one on the left. That's just me. And you need a professional cover. That's what I'm going to kind of be talking about in this slide. So if I go back to the slide, when I see that, and I actually do kind of like the right design. It's like a cute vintage design. I made it quickly on Canva just to kind of show this comparison. But it's really different from that professional, engaging fantasy design. Because, first of all, this one on the left really goes with the genre and the target audience, while the second one is just a nice floral pattern. So yeah, Sherry says the left one. I agree. So that actually is my cover, but pretty much if you see that right one, you might assume like, oh, the book inside might not be as engaging because a cover that is engaging conveys to the reader that the story is also engaging, which might not be true. like if you saw that right cover might like have a really good story in it, but your readers or your potential customers that see the cover might not necessarily come to that conclusion, even if it is true. So you're going to want something that makes your readers or makes your potential readers think, oh wow, like I want that on my shelf, and the story inside must be really good. All right, so the process of cover design is, and I have actually one of the heaviest like lists on the resource sheet is of cover designers, because I did a lot of research for cover design and it was so hard to pick just one cover designer because there are so many great cover designers out in the world. It is a pretty straightforward process. You're going to want to provide some sort of brief or a blurb, so that's why I said before the blurb will come in handy, because it'll really help your cover designer know what the story is about and help you come up with the cover that will fit it perfectly. So I would recommend spending somewhere in between like $200, $500, less if it's a pre-made cover. Pretty much different cover designers have like different ranges, but I wouldn't recommend spending over that. You could find something amazing for in between that or less. Again, what I said, you can go buy a pre-made cover to save money, and some pre-made covers are actually really beautiful, so that might be a good option. So you can go back and forth with your designer. Be honest. So if you have a vision and they're just not meeting your vision, really tell them your vision. Don't just settle for a cover that is less than what you want because you feel bad about saying, oh, I don't really like this. That's their job, so don't like feel bad about it. But then again, don't be rude, which you obviously like. I feel like that kind of goes without saying, but I like to do something that it's kind of like a common thing, a compliment sandwich. So if you say, okay, I really like the background, I feel like the font of the title could be more of a script font, and I also love the color patterns. I don't know, that's a bad example, but say something that you love about it, then say what you want to change, and then say another thing that you love about it. Okay, so when should you have your cover designer? This stage can vary. Usually you want your first front cover whenever, and then, so I did it like while, I think it was right before my copy/line editor, because my editor actually did like a combo of copy and line, which a lot of editors do, and it's great. So then once your formatting and editing and blurb is finalized, that's when you're going to want to do the back and the spine, because you need the exact page count for the width of the spine. And you also might want to put praise on the back, so you might want to do it after you like give it to your friends and everything, and they can give you praise. That's not like a required thing to have praise, but if you want it, then you're going to want to have your cover design after. A lot of cover designers are flexible, and they'll know like the process. All right. So I wanted to just show you guys my cover design process, because I love seeing when other people show these, and I just wanted to show you. So the top left is the first two covers that my cover designer provided. So I did really like them. And as you can see, like it didn't totally change from the first draft to like the final draft. The background stayed the same, the flowers, the little shiny thing on the H in the. But it started with this kind of seahorse key thing, and I didn't really vibe with it because it kind of, when I saw that seahorse design, I thought of kind of an underwater type story, and my story just doesn't take place underwater, but I did love everything else about the cover. So I sent a picture of like another kind of key that I liked and sent that to my cover designer, and she made the bottom left one that's right there. So I really loved it. But I kind of, and like, you might want to don't be afraid to ask for like a very nitpicky thing. So I asked for the flowers to go the other way, and then I just made some minor tweaks like, space out or make the key, then like stretch the key out so that it kind of shows at the top, and then just things about making the tagline bigger. And then it kind of went to the middle one, and then the one highlighted in yellow is the final design, which again I stretched out the key a little more just so you can really see like the top and the bottom. And yeah, so I'm gonna catch up on comments. Def the left, yeah, left. That's what about the which cover would you pick? The right one would work for like a mock-up, right? Exactly. So you might want to use that one for maybe if you like to share your process on your website, you might put that on and just to show people like alongside your blurb. Ooh, super cool. I love seeing the process. Thank you. Yeah, I love watching videos of like people doing this. So I just wanted to share with you guys. Love the process. Yeah. Who did you hire for your book cover? So I hired a woman named Stephanie Saul. She was amazing. Her website will be linked in the publishing resources sheet at the end of the presentation. Okay, so now we have formatting. This is a very fun step. So the picture on the left is from the Enchanted Ink publishing website. This is actually the website I used, or the company I used for my formatting, and they did an amazing job. These aren't my book, but they're just other books on their portfolio of their website. All right, so you could DIY your formatting. You definitely could. It's not like a required thing to have a professional formatter. But if you want to do something really elaborate like that top one in that picture, like that's so unique and I love that formatting so much. If you want to do something unique like that, you might want to hire a professional that knows what they're doing and has been formatting for a while. Also, Draft to Digital has a free formatting software. You can format on Vellum. You can DIY your formatting, and in the publishing resources, I'll have some YouTube videos that show you how to do that. All right, and then you could research YouTube videos on formatting as well. This is something you definitely can skip on if you are trying to save money and you're going under a budget. I'd recommend, if you are hiring a professional, recommend spending somewhere between $100 and $350. It often comes in a package with cover design, so not for me, but if you might have a cover designer that's like more of a kind of big company, or if it's just a single person, they might like have formatting available for you and you might want to just use that. So when you're going to do this, I would recommend doing it after all of your editing is done. It doesn't really matter if it's before or after your front cover, but definitely before your back and spine. And it's before proofreading, because when you proofread, you're also going to be proofreading the formatting. So you do want to do it though after everything but proofreading is done, like in terms of editing, because you don't want to have to keep asking your formatter like, oh, change this to this, change this to this. You're just going to want to give them some proofreading changes. And though at least Enchanted Ink Publishing gave me a little sheet that gave options for, you know, page, line, and then like before, and then like change to. Yeah. Okay, so next we have the final steps, and these are the finishing touches. And all right, so this is the stuff that might not be as fun, but it's a lot of stuff that people don't necessarily know about, but it's very important. So this is Amazon KDP, which is one of the distributors I used, and then Canva. You're going to want to register for copyright, and BookBrush. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do as part of this step is buying ISBNs. So an ISBN it stands for International Standard Book Number. There's 10-digit ISBNs and there's 13-digit ISBNs. One is for ebook, I think one is for print, or one's like the old and one's the new. I don't know, but there's two different types of ISBNs. You're going to want one ISBN for each edition. Your ebook, your paperback, and your hardback, and your audiobook. You're gonna need each a different ISBN for each step. What I found is that the pack of 10 is actually more cost effective than purchasing an individual one. So if you are planning on like publishing more books and doing this as like a long-term thing, I would recommend getting the pack of 10. They don't run out, they don't expire, so you might as well. I think it's something like $250 for 10, but then like $50 for one. So yeah, that's not the exact, but it's something around that ballpark. And you are going to need the same ISBN across your distributors. for the same edition. So it gets a little confusing. So I'd recommend doing research about this stuff. But pretty much if you're using KDP and Ingram, you're going to need, and you're doing your paperback with both, which is what I did, you're going to need the same ISBN for your paperback on both. And KDP will offer you a free ISBN for your paperback, but you're not going to want to use that one if you are doing the paperback with Ingram as well. I know this stuff is a little confusing, but I would just recommend doing more research on it if you are confused. And then for your ebook, if I just publish my ebook with Amazon KDP, so they provide a free ISBN. All right, so that's ISBNs. And by the way, this is like the number that will appear on the bottom right or left of your book, of the back of your book. Okay, next we have distributors. Okay, this is a very big topic. So I used KDP and Ingram Spark. So those are the two that I know about. And I know there's other ones like Lulu, BookBaby, Draft2Digital, but I didn't feel comfortable kind of like providing information about things that I haven't used myself. So I'm just talking about the ones that I know about. So on the left, we have KDP, which stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. It's a branch off of, or like it's part of Amazon, or it's connected to Amazon. And so they have, all right, so each of them have a lot of options. So you can do Kindle Unlimited, which that means you're exclusive to Amazon Kindle. So you'll get paid per page. Some indie authors do this. This isn't, so if it aligns with your vision of your author career, then sure, you can do Kindle Unlimited. What I kind of wanted to do was I had a vision of having print books of my book and having in bookstores and libraries, and if you do Kindle Unlimited, you will not be able to have that come true. You can also do wide distribution through KDP. I said I wouldn't recommend, just because if you are going to do wide distribution, I would recommend doing it with Ingram Spark, because Amazon KDP doesn't really have as many, their distribution isn't as good as Ingram Spark, I'll put it that way, because bookstores are more inclined to purchase from Ingram Spark because of KDP, because of like the wholesale price, and it's confusing, but I would just recommend using Ingram Spark for wide distribution. Okay, KDP has great customer service. It has great advertising opportunities. It's easy, it's straightforward, it's user-friendly. The annoying thing, though, is that they have ebook pre-orders, but not paperback pre-orders. And it does ebook and paperback in general, so it doesn't have hardback, which is okay with me, because I did not do a hardback for my debut novel. I might do a hardback in the future, but I had like so much. It was enough work as is. Maybe in the future I will do a hardback with my next book or something, or I can always do a hardback late for Not the Air, but for right now I just wanted to stick with ebook and paperback. Right. And then I just find it annoying, though, that you can only do ebook pre-orders and not paperback pre-orders. All right, and then we have Ingram Spark. So they can do ebook, paperback, they can do a hardcover with a dust jacket, they can do pre-orders, and I'm going to go back to that because I made a huge mistake with my pre-orders that I don't want any of you to make. All right, they do have not the best customer service. They're not as user-friendly. If you go on their little chat box thing and you ask a question, one person will give you one answer, someone else will give you another answer. Ingram Spark cannot be the best customer service. I've watched a lot of Ingram Spark rant videos on YouTube, so I'm not the only one that this has happened to. I'm going to go back to my big mistake with Ingram Spark in a second. I just want to finish like the pros and cons. They do distribute to online retailers and bookstores, which is great. So if you upload to Ingram Spark, you'll also be on Kobo and all those other places, which is great. There is an uploading fee and a re-uploading fee, which can be a little bit annoying, but I think it's worth it if it's distributing to all these amazing places. But the re-uploading fee is annoying, so that means that each time that you have a typo and you want to re-upload your book, you have to pay again. So I would recommend only uploading your book to Ingram Spark when it is done with everything. For KDP, you can upload it when you're kind of in the process and you haven't proofread yet. And then you can re-upload it at no cost, at no additional, or yeah, at no cost, because KDP is free to upload in the first place as well. But Ingram Spark, if you want to re-upload, you have to pay. So yeah, pretty much only upload when you have the final version is what I'm trying to say. All right, so now I'm going to go over what I did with Ingram Spark. All right, so I saw when you upload your book, it'll give you 2 dates that you need to fill out: your on sale date and your either release date or publication date. I think it's publication date. Either way, it's one of those. And it'll give you 2 dates. So I thought that why would it give me 2 dates? One must be for when the pre-orders start and one must be for when it actually releases. So I put the on sale date as like that day or the next day because I wanted it to go on pre-order right away, because why not? And then I made the release date December 1st, which was when my book released. However, it started just distributing to all of these retailers, and it started actually becoming available in like mid-October, which was a nightmare. And I tried to get it off, and they said you have to unpublish it and then get a new ISBN, and it just, it wasn't worth it. So I kind of just let it be, and I didn't advertise it, and I still just kind of pretended that it was coming out December 1st and it wasn't available. What I recommend though is just don't make that mistake. So make your on sale and release date the same date, which is your publication date. So the day you want it to release, which was, for me, was December 1st. So I should have just made them both December 1st. Okay, let's go over the comments. Hi. Such an amazing overview of the self-publishing process. Thank you. There's definitely a lot to cover, so I am trying to go quick while kind of going into as much depth as possible. Thank you for talking about KDP and Ingram Spark. I've only found resources where people who already understand them discuss them. I know nothing of either. Yeah, of course. So it is confusing. KDP is definitely more straightforward and user-friendly. If they had paper book pre-orders and hardbacks and better distribution, I would just go all in with KDP, but unfortunately they don't. So they both have pros and cons, which is why I wanted to, use both. Okay, next we have social media marketing, which I could discuss marketing for hours. Marketing is such a big subject. There's people that have whole channels for marketing, whole book series for marketing, which, speaking of, the Marketing for Authors series by Bethany Adazada and Mandy Lynn is a great resource that I've read. And that resource will be linked in the resource list at the end. All right, so I just wanted to go over 4 major marketing platforms, social media platforms. The first is Instagram. And what I wanted to say for this is the earlier the better. So you might think that you don't need an Instagram because your book is coming out in a year and you just finished the first draft. So what's the point of having it now? But trust me, if you start your Instagram when your book releases, you won't have any followers and anyone to see that. So make your Instagram early and show them your process. Where are you now? Show little excerpts from your first draft. Update them. People will be excited. They'll be cheering you on. And the more time, the earlier you make your Instagram, the more time you'll have to develop a following. And at first I was reluctant to make a separate, because I have my real Instagram, and then I have I made it in August, like a book Instagram, which is Hudson Warm Books. And I kind of was reluctant to make that because I was like, why do I need 2 Instagrams? I won't have any followers on it. But it has worked out great, and I'm glad that I made it a while before my book release so that I can really make connections with people. Instagram also, if you want to try to grow a following, don't just try to get people to follow you and your post and comment on your post. The way to do that is to engage with other people. Make meaningful relationships. If you want people to beta read for them. That's just an example, but All right, another one is Goodreads. So this one, you don't need to be so active on Goodreads. I certainly am not, but you have to make an account and upload your book there. Well, you don't have to, but I would highly recommend uploading your book to Goodreads. Write some reviews for other indie authors. Reviews really go a long way because for certain things I'll go over this. I'll go into this when I go to ARC readers. All right, then you have website. So websites are great, and I actually took a author website bootcamp over the summer that helped me craft my website. I use Brittany Wang's Author Website Bootcamp, which will also be linked in the resource list. Pretty much everything is linked there, so you can use Wix, Squarespace, Weebly. Those are just some examples of website builders that I know, but if you like another one, feel free to use, whatever. I use Wix for mine. Okay. And then another great way to advertise is with a newsletter. So you're delivering monthly updates straight to people's inboxes. And this is great because, and this also, just like I said with Instagram, you might want to, grow your following early before your book is totally released. Give monthly updates on it. It doesn't need to even be about your book. It could be, what are things you've read recently that you love? What's happening in your life? What are some cooking recipes that you've used that you love? It could be random things. It's just things that people you think would find interesting. And this will also help you grow a following. The thing about newsletters and websites both is that you don't have competition. So on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you're competing with everyone else on your viewers' feed. If you have this website, they're only looking at you. They're looking at your books, about you, your homepage, links that you link on your website, newsletter, they're looking in their mailbox and just seeing your email instead of all of their DMs on Instagram, if you know what I mean. Social media isn't really reliable. It could shut down any time. You could lose your password. If you have a website and an Instagram, a website and a newsletter, you're not really competing with others and other advertisers, and it's just a great way to advertise yourself, to market yourself. All right, now let's get into proofreading. So I did lightly go over this during the editing part, but I wanted to really kind of dig deeper into proofreading because it is a big subject. So there's a few options for what you can do with your proofreader. So you can hire a professional proofreader, or you can ask a couple trusted family members and or friends that you know are great with grammar, people that love to read, and then in addition, review your book yourself again, red pen in hand, just circling all those typos, all of, those mistakes. Make sure that you provide the printed version. So you don't want to give them your Microsoft Word document or your Google Docs document, because you want them to see everything. Copyright page, acknowledgments, your margins, everything can be reviewed this way, and it should be reviewed this way. And make sure they're not, even your acknowledgments, since your acknowledgments likely weren't with your editor, they might have mistakes, so make sure to focus on the parts that weren't necessarily with your copy/line editor. All right, so what are you looking for in the proofreading stage? So there's a few things. Typos, of course, that's the main one. Inconsistencies. So an example I gave, and this isn't big inconsistencies, those were hopefully probably fixed during the developmental stages, or if not, the copy or line edit stages. These are just things oh, you introduce a character and they have brown eyes, and then a few chapters later they have icy blue eyes. Those things will take the reader out of the story, so you want to make sure that you don't have those. All right, make sure then, is the first paragraph of each chapter or after each scene break not indented? And then are all other paragraphs indented? This is an issue that actually, my voice, this is an issue that actually comes up a lot. You're going to want to make sure that in the beginning of each chapter, it's not indented, and after each scene break it's not indented, but then every other paragraph, or not every other, but all of the other paragraphs are indented. All right. Next we have Copyright and Library of Congress. All right. So these are two things that a lot of people don't really know to do, don't really know about. So I'm just going to go over them quick. One thing you're probably going to want to do is register for copyright. And the website will walk you through how to do it. It's a pretty self-explanatory process. It's not too difficult to figure out. It's certainly not as difficult as Ingram's Spark, that's for sure. The website is linked on the resource sheet. Pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to upload your completed and formatted manuscript. The reason to do this is it will protect you in the future in case you get into legal trouble, which I'm sure you won't, but just in case someone plagiarizes or tries to do something with your book, you're going to want to have this extra precaution there just so that your book is yours. And I'm not sure if it's like a required step, because I do know, or I've heard that as soon as you kind of write something, it is your intellectual property. But I just like to do this just to get that extra safety net. And there is a small fee. It's less than $100, but I do think it's worth it, at least for me, because I really wanted to like have that just in case. All right. Then we have Library of Congress. So this is a pretty important step. You're going to want to do this before formatting, so you can put your Library of Congress control number on your copyright page. And so you're going to want to upload your book to the Library of Congress prior to formatting, but then you're going to want to actually send it to the Library of Congress once you have a printed copy, just as soon as possible when you have your final done copy. And this could be release day or before it, just as soon as possible, or else they'll like revoke your like place or spot in the Library of Congress. And again, the website is linked on the resource sheet. All right. And what I said about mailing your book. All right. And just make sure that I think copyright is optional, but I wanted to do it. Library of Congress isn't really optional because it's important to like have your book in Library of Congress. I mean, I guess you would still have a published book if you don't have it in Library of Congress, but yeah. All right. Then we have ARCs, Advanced Reader Copies. So I went through this process. So you could use NetGalley or Story Origin to find advanced readers, which I didn't do. I just kind of found people on Instagram and DM'd them, or I found like friends that I've made. Again, this is another reason why it's important to make Instagram earlier, because it's better to make Instagram earlier. So make sure you reach out politely. What I did is I made a Google form, and it said, name, do you enjoy this genre, email, Kindle email, would you prefer a print or an ebook, and would you accept a print or an ebook? Because some people would prefer a print book but then would accept an ebook, and if so, if you are sending out print books, it might be worthwhile for some, but it also costs a lot to not only buy them and print them, but then also ship them, and then have them shipped to you, and then ship to them, and mail them out, and get all these envelopes, and it's just a whole process. And I did go through that process for some people, but then some people I gave ebooks instead. So for print books, I would recommend so for me, and I think I send out too many print books, and in the future, what I'm going to do is send the print books out to people who are like kind of bookstagrammers or booktubers, whatever, with a bigger following, just so that it's more worthwhile. And then for people that are just leaving a review and not posting on social media, you might as well give them an ebook. But it's whatever you want to do, whatever you feel is best for you. So reviews are super important. They'll help you in the future if you want, and this is what I was talking about before. Reviews are super important. So if you want to apply for things like BookBub ads, or just, if you want more readers to buy your book, you gotta have some more reviews. And don't like worry too much about your reviews. You might not want to actually even read them, because books are subjective. So, it's okay if like different people have different preferences, but you do want a lot of reviews, because that will just really help get the word out get more people to buy your book, and it'll boost it in the algorithms and everything. So yeah, if you want ARC readers, do post on Instagram and whatever, Snapchat, everything else, but also reach out to individual people, because not everyone will see it on Instagram, or if they do see it on Instagram, they might be like, but if you personally reach out or DM them or email them, they'll be more likely to actually fill out the Google form. So yeah, and then I compiled, the great thing about Google form is that you can just like convert it to like a spreadsheet, and yeah. So anywhere from like a few to hundreds is fine. I did 50, a little over 50 for Not the Air. Then we have some optional extras. These aren't necessary things. And by the way, this is like the end, and then you will get access to my publishing resources list. All right, so these are some optional extras. Character art. It's not necessarily required, but is very fun. It's definitely not required, but it's such an optional step. You definitely don't need it, but it will help you to get the word out from your book. And I'm actually going to pull out some of my character art because I really had a fun time with my character art, and I also, in the publishing resources list, I do have a list of character artists. All right, so this is one of my characters, Scarlet. Ooh, it kind of reflects weird, but that's Scarlet, Basil, my main character, and Ambrosio. And I just did 3 characters. In the future, I might do more. We'll see. But for these character art, for the pieces of art, you're going to want to provide in-depth profiles of your character's physical appearances. And yeah, you might find people on DeviantArt, you might find them on Instagram, but yeah, reach out to them. Reach out to a few, make sure you like their art style, of course. Yeah. Then there's swag. So this is also optional, but you can get bookmarks, book plates. Sometimes these can be an option from your actual cover designer. And I also have printing resources in the list. And then you can use places like Teespring, like sweatshirts, to get sweatshirts, mugs, pencil cases, etc., all those fun stuff. And you can check out Bethany Adezada's or Brittany Wing's channels for merch help. I haven't made merch, but they just released their merch like a week or a few weeks ago, and it's super cute. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an easy process. So that might be a good option for you. And even if you don't want to like sell your merch, you can just make a few pieces of merch for yourself with your cover on it or character art on it. And yeah, bookmarks are great to have, and book plates for book signings, because you might want to give like your customers a bookmark that has your information on it, like your website and Instagram, and then they will check out your website and Instagram. All right, so now we have finished the steps, and now this is the publishing resources template. So I am going to, so it's that URL right there, which is the hudsonworm.com, which is my website, and then I made a secret page on my website, publishing-resources. So I'm going to link it in the chat, and I don't know if it will work, but when I link it, but I'm going to link it right now, but it's just that URL. All right, hudsonworm.com/publishing resources, and I will share my screen and pull it up right now. And if it's not like a clickable link, you can copy and paste it and go to that page on my website. But pretty much there I will show so many resources for people that I used, people that I've seen other people use, and yeah. All right, so I'm going to actually just go to that page on my website right now to show you guys what it looks like. hudsonworm.com/publishing resources, and I'll share my screen. All right, so I need to stop the screen share and then reshare. Sorry, just stick with me for 1 second. So I'm going to share screen, and then Mozilla Firefox. Oh no, not that one. Oopsies. Share screen. StreamYard. No. All right. So, all right. Sorry about that, but in the meantime, if you guys are able to get there, okay. And all right, perfect. So now it should let me share screen. And whew, sorry about that. All right. So, okay, finally. This is the page on my website. So it has clickable links for each resource. So I have editors here, cover designers, formatters, YouTube videos to DIY format, then some marketing things, and then I just have kind of the necessary ones, the where to get your ISBNs, Library of Congress, tutorial for Library of Congress, and so what I did was I made it available to download and print, which I think is super helpful because you can download this to your desktop if you want, and then just click on these links and look what cover designers do you like. And there's tons of others that aren't on here, but yeah. And so I want to now open it up for questions if you guys have any last minute questions. And I will overview. I'll look over some of the comments. And yeah, my last slide was thanks for watching. Just you can follow me on Instagram if you want updates every month. You can sign up for my newsletter and check out my website. All right, so where were we? So I think we were here. This is informative. Thank you. By the way, I love your slides. They're so colorful and engaging. Thank you. I used a website called SlidesGo, which is great for, I use it for like everything, school presentations. Did not know about Library of Congress. How exciting. Yeah, it is super exciting because Library of Congress is just such a cool place to like have your book in the Library of Congress. Love. Thank you. Bookmarks are awesome for replacing business cards too, right? Add your email and social medias. And then if you give them out at signings and BookCon and things like that, people will be able to not only buy your book, but then check out, maybe they'll be a new follower or a new website viewer. Your book signing was amazing. Thank you. This was awesome. Thanks so much, Hudson. Of course. It was so much fun. Love the purple on your website. Thank you. This is incredibly useful. The AuthorTube community is so giving and supportive. It makes me believe in myself. I'm so happy that it makes you believe in yourself. You should believe in yourself. Yeah, your website is so beautiful. Thank you, Sasha, putting this on favorite. Guys, thank you so much. This was so much fun. And if you have any more questions, leave them in the chat and I'll go look at those. So the next slide, the next presentation I believe is on making hardback books. Is that right? I think it's on making hardback books. Yeah, making hardback books, which I will definitely be attending because I have wanted to make hardback books. Oh, it's Sherry that's doing it. Yeah. Oh, so Sherry, you're presenting next. I will be there because I want to make hardback books. What was your favorite part of the publishing process? All right, so my favorite part, I've got to say that besides the writing of the book, because of course that was a great part of it, probably cover design, because I feel like that's, all right, so I actually have two favorite steps. Cover design, that's when you actually see the book that you've been working so hard on. You really can envision it as an actual book with a cover. And then the second part was when my proof copies arrived in the mail, which I didn't go over that in the presentation because it's pretty straightforward. You can just order proof copies and they'll come. You can order them from Amazon, Ingram Spark. And that was super fun because I got to actually hold my book in my hand and like figure out it's like this is actually happening, like it's real. That's the moment when, so those are kind of two moments, cover design and when I received my book in the mail and I was like, this is actually real. How did you set up your book signing? All right, so this was actually, so this can like vary depending on if you're doing it like out of your house or if you're doing it like at a bookstore, at a Barnes & Noble's or whatever, or at like a larger like place like a BookCon or a Comic-Con. But what I did was, so it was at my local bookstore and I went there and I was there for like books and I told them about my book and they were like, oh, we'd love to have you for book signing. And I was like, that would be so fun. So I ordered some shelves, I ordered a guest book for people to sign, I printed out some character art and put it in frames, and went there, wore a mask, social distanced, and just had people, told my friends about it, posted on Instagram, marketed it a lot, and yeah, it was super fun. I'm so nervous about it. Don't be nervous. Like, I was nervous before mine too, but AuthorTube is such a supportive community, so you have nothing to be nervous about. Good luck. Yeah, good luck. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here to give you guys time to go to Sherry's presentation, which I'm super excited for. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I worked super hard on it, and this was so much fun. And so yeah, I'm going to sign off here. And goodbye. I hope you guys gained something, and that publishing resources